Hey, welcome to LEGO Mastery. So in this video, I'm going to be building a working cardboard inquisitor lightsaber. So for the first part of the build, I'm going to be using these two flashlights that I got from Walmart. They're only about $1 a piece. So I started by taking some cardboard tubes from like a toilet paper, and I glued on some cardboard to the side and put them inside so they were actually physically glued into there. So I think that looks pretty nice, and it's pretty sturdy too, so that's really great. Then I repeated the process for the other side and then added the two together to make a long, strong tube that actually will light up in the end. The next step was to trace out the handles, I guess you could call them, or the cutlasses, onto the cardboard. And so here I'm just cutting those out. You want to make sure that you have the corrugation right so it's nice and strong. So yeah, here you can just see me cutting these out, and these look really good, and they're identical to each other. Now, right here, I'm cutting out some long strips of cardboard and then rolling these around to make a thicker cylinder, and so these just add a little bit of layering to it, and I think it makes it look pretty nice. You gotta make sure that it's extra taped in. So now there's 3 levels of cardboard. This isn't actually on the lightsaber, but for stability, I added some triangles to the edges that makes the long circle parts really strong. Also, a tip is you can't make them perfect half circles because there's the part in the middle. So I would recommend cutting off part of it if you're building this at home. Now we're all done with the hilt. I added in some micro magnets for the locking part so you can open up the middle to access the 2 flashlights. Now it's time for the actual sabers. For these, I used 2 fluorescent tube guards that I got from Lowe's. They reach $1 each and on sale, but normally you can find them for about $3. This is the most tedious part, but I'm now going to take a red Sharpie and hand color all of these. So I finished the red piece, and so I'm about to take some 220 grit sandpaper and lightly brush it across this, and hopefully this will work. So I'm going to cut back to once this is done. Okay, I'm back a few minutes later, and so there is a somewhat noticeable difference, sorry about that, on it, and so it has a lot more scratches, as you can see. I think it looks fine, but I want the light to be a little bit more diffused, so I'm going to get a thicker marker if I can find one, and hopefully then I can get a more solid diffused layer, because you can still really see the marks, and I don't like that at all. For the end reflector, I just used some spray painted plastic, and I just glued that in. Sadly, I didn't have any mirrors on hand, but if I find something more suitable, I'll definitely put that in. Now, here's the finished hilt, and it's looking amazing. So now the next step is to spackle it. So for this step, I'm going to be using some Alex Plus spackling paste. And so all you're going to do is just slather this stuff on, get it nice and smooth, and then afterwards we can just sand it. So let's cut to the time lapse. Sanded off a bunch of the spackle, so now it's very nice and smooth. So now we're going to shake it off, and then it's time for primer. Now it's time for primer. Once you have everything primed, I'm going to be using some Rust-Oleum paint. The color is charcoal gray, and it's gloss. Now it's time to add the little details. If you look at the lightsaber, there's a lot of little things like the red dots and the handle striping and the rim. So I'm going to do all these. I'm going to be using these 3 colors of Sharpie: silver, red, and gray. Or black. Why did I say that was gray? So I'm just going to cut this thing to a time lapse and start coloring it so you can follow it. To the little red dots right here on the side, but as you can see, the colors aren't working that well. But I actually have a thing called sticker paper, and so you can buy some on Amazon, but when you peel it, it can kind of peel on the edges and it's sticky. So I'm going to cut some of this out and then put it on, so the red will be a lot more vibrant. So now I have the red lights done. I think that looks really good, but now we need to do the rest of it. So right here, I'm just adding all the miscellaneous details, and so I'm just using the silver and the black to get it all over, and I think the end result is really good. Now for the final step, I bought some micro magnets a while ago on Amazon. These are 2 millimeters by 1 mm, millimeter wide micromagnets. So I'm going to be taking some super glue and an X-Acto knife just so I can tell what side is north and south, so that I'm going to put these under here so that it will snap tightly. So I'm just going to do that real quick, and then we're almost about done. Now, right here, I cut out the silver parts. There's 4 of them, and so those are almost like horns, or like, you know, like arrowheads kind of, and so they will just go on the cylindrical parts, and I think these look really cool and add a lot to the lightsaber. Now that we're all done, it's time for the cinematic. Thank you for watching LEGO Mastery. I hope you enjoyed this video as I enjoyed making this. Please consider leaving a like and subscribing to my YouTube channel for more awesome projects.